Okay, so when we're sitting or when we're squatting, crouching down, there's like an elastic connection sets up between your dantian and the ground. And then we normally stand up in an effort to break that elastic. So this is why we walk around not rooted. So what we'd like is just by relaxing, just enable this to reconnect to the ground elastically, like you're being pulled down all the time. So there's a sense that the lower you get, the more comfortable it is because that elastic is not so stretched. The more your legs are straight, the stronger they're having to work against the elastic. And just feel the flows, the two flow, the flow downwards and the flow upwards. So we don't want to lock ourselves into a seeming stillness. So that would be using force. We're right at what they call that sort of critical state where it could collapse at any minute because it's right on the edge. That's when you get energy. If you're too much in the comfort zone of security, then there's no energy by definition. And just relaxing. So it's like this, your weight is coming down the spine, and when it reaches the hips and the sacrum, there's a sense of spreading here. So the longer you stand and the more you just try and relax, the more you're being driven into the outside edges of the feet. So a natural roundness in the legs. Okay, so now let's just breathing it. Yeah, so we start off just trying to get the spine flexing forwards and then just extending back just a little. So just movement in the spine, and we'd like to have equal movement all the way up. So if you can feel places that are just naturally a bit stiff, then just put your mind there. Don't try and do anything, just put your mind there. So the difficulty is training the mind to work for you rather than against you. So the ego mind will always work against this sort of work. So it's the mind that has to relax largely. So here being careful not to stick your bum out, and then here being careful not to straighten the legs too much. So we're working the spine, but we're also just starting that process of centering in the dantian, getting out of the head and into the body. If you're centered in the head, then your body will be next to useless, especially if it suddenly needs to do something. Good. And now let's try and get into the reverse breathing in a natural way. So just breathing through this very small hole in the mouth. So what we want to feel is that when you restrict the breathing, the in-breath requires attention here. Yeah, so it's like the two diaphragms, the breathing, the respiratory one and the urogenital one, move towards each other by pulling, that whole area pulls. So when I breathe in, these muscles tighten, and then when I breathe out, that whole area expands. So breathing in, and then breathing out. So the really small hole, it's really difficult to get the air in. And then going out doesn't really matter. So this is the in-breath. And then the out-breath. Yes, it's only really by getting the reverse breathing going that you can actually just feel the Dan Chen as a real center. It's the center of the tension, of the pulling tension in your belly. So the more the Dan Chen sucks in, the more the Min Meng will spread out and backwards. So the Dan Chen is the center of tension, the center of gravity. When it's strong, then the rest of you can relax because it holds you together. So they say, when you put your hands on the average person, you feel like a hard shell. And then if you just penetrate through that, you realize it's pretty much empty. Whereas the Tai Chi master should be the opposite. They say it's like putting your hands on cotton wool. But then when you penetrate through that, you just feel steel. So as you breathe in, you're sort of disappearing. You're disappearing inside. And then as you breathe out, you're emerging. Yeah, so keeping to a yielding mind. So we never quite come out. Yeah. So I'm coming out, but before I actually escape, I'm brought back again. Okay. And now just out again. So this is, if you like, our neutral stance, and you see it's still the cave, you're still inside, it's still the yielding mode. So again, just feel, just relax, relax, relax until you're right at that edge with the strength in your legs. If you just relax them a little bit more, you'd just collapse. So the point of failure, energy manifests at the point of failure. And so we have to just get accustomed to manufacturing, to creating that point of failure all the time in order to get the energy to manifest and flow. So just feel this center now, you know, we've worked on it. Yeah, so when the mind isn't talking to itself, which is what we're accustomed to, then where is it? You know, what is mind? Yeah? And it's really just the space that you're in. Yeah. So bright and empty, functioning naturally, the mind does not exert itself. So any language requires effort. And it's also an unnatural thing. It's still unnatural. You know, if you've got your hands on someone, you know, say you're massaging someone or just doing cranio, just holding their head, and they start speaking, instantly there's tension. Because the words never really say what you're wanting to say. You have an urge or a feeling, and that wants to come out. And words are like a not very satisfactory means of expressing that. Yeah, you'd be much better off just getting up and just dancing, just showing the world with a little bit of movement, or even just a bit of Tai Chi, yeah, than actually speaking. Language is a virus, we're infected. So when I just settle here, then this just clears, bright and empty. It's a beautiful choice of words. Bright because, that's all there is. And so there's no, I mean, most of us are unhappy, depressed, because we've got unreasonable expectations. Yeah. And so when the mind is, when you've settled in the Danchen, there's no expectations. You're just here, and this is it. This is all there is. Yeah. The Tao is not difficult if only you do not pick and choose. So we bring the mind, or we settle in the Danchen. So stop activity and return to stillness. And that stillness is even more active. So when we settle here and just settle, you know, just let this just stop working. That's when you get into the fascia. That's when you realize, shit, I'm just full of movement. and which you will be because you're alive, yeah? And so there's all these processes going on within your body all the time that we don't consider, they're sort of automatic. But we'd like to just become aware of the energy that's involved in them. Because that's what we are, we're students of energy. So we just want to wake up to what's that sort of background noise, if you like, the stuff we just blot out normally because most people don't even realize it's there, Okay, so let's just breathe through the little hole again, but without doing anything with the arms. So we should be able to just get just a sufficient elastic contractibility here to allow that to be the anchor. That's producing the stillness. That's almost like that stillness has to be constantly maintained because it's always threatening to become noisy. So I need that sort of elastic tug here from my breathing, but not so much that it actually masks the fascial movement. Yeah, so there's something going on here, almost like a heartbeat, like a pulse going on in your belly. And then you can just let the fascial movement manifest. And you need a different mind. It's not the mind that concentrates, it's a playful mind, a mind that just lets things happen. The mind that's drunk, intoxicated on energy. You can also think of it as like the skin, like the two models. So the nuclear model with the nucleus, the central organ, and then the periphery, the edge, yeah? So I was reading about this biologist in America, Bruce Lipton, and he did an experiment, and from cells, he just took out the nucleus and just assumed they would die, but they didn't, yeah? And so what he concluded was that, okay, the nucleus is important, but it's actually the membrane, it's the edge of the cell that actually maintains its equilibrium with its environment. It's not the nucleus. The nucleus is just working within, yeah? So they're both important. They're just the yin and the yang, yeah? And then the image of the swarm of bees, yeah? We know those YouTube clips, and they've got these amazing flocks of birds, and they take these beautiful shapes. Yeah, so the sense that the Dan Chen is just sufficient pull to keep the swarm as a seeming entity, and yet enough freedom to allow it to change, to morph all the time, to change shape. So that's the feeling of the fascia. Got a student who's a doctor, and they were saying that basically the concept of the fascia, the discovery of it, has just completely revolutionized, especially sports medicine. Yeah, because they just realize now it's just so important. Okay, and now let's just move from leg to leg. So just feeling that point of equilibrium. My weight flows into the leg, and the leg provides a flow of energy counter to that to support it. So no holding forces. So I'm sinking into the leg, and something comes through the body, and then I flow with that. Yeah, so in a way, the operative word is play. Yeah. It's like I don't want to control the situation. I just want to let it play. And I want it to go somewhere that it's never been before. I want to find new things out. I don't want to just repeat something that I've done before. That would be stupid. So I'm sinking here, and there's a real sense that something has to happen in the spine and the heart to allow that upward flow. It's an upward flow. It's optimistic. Things are looking up. So my heart has to lighten in the same way that it has to join the play, join the game. Yeah, so getting out of the mind and into the body. Yeah, so you have to see it with your mind. You have to imagine it first, because it needs a little bit of a helping hand to start with. This is why often the students, they'll just say, oh, it's all in the mind, as if that's a bad thing. Yeah. And if you need an image, if you need inspiration, just watch that octopus movie again. Okay. And now let's try just alternating So here we're just trying to get the toes doing what the fingers are doing. So the toes open and then they clench. And it's that clenching that's drawing me into the foot and turning me towards it. Yeah, so you're with the hand that's making the fist, and the other hand is just coming out because of that. So we want the mind to be with the part of me that's coming in all the time. Because if it's with the part of me that's going out, it'll ruin it. Because the mind, as we've trained it from very young, is coarse, ugly, and destructive, especially to energy. So energy needs the lightest of touches. So just feel the lower back. It should be swelling backwards. So the lordosis is almost reversed. The minmeng is really quite prominent, spreading heat all over your back. And your tail is sort of between your legs a little bit. Yeah, so you want the sense that once you've started, you're undistractable. You're just in this exercise. You've disappeared into it. That's all there is. Okay, so okay, now let's just try just rolling the ball. Or you can think of it as like a yin-yang symbol you're rolling. And then just let yourself start turning with it. Doesn't really matter which way you turn. It can be the waving hands way or the other way. And just feel as though these two movements are independent. So you can just keep this ball rolling regardless of what your body's doing. And then just let it go. So let the hand, the bottom hand, just slip behind you now. So it just becomes this, the first warm-up exercise, knocking the min main, knocking the gate of life. But again, this feeling that you're really inside, you've almost collapsed inward. So your Dan Chen has become so strong, it's collapsing in on itself, and you're collapsing in on it. Okay. So with yielding, you're doing this. You're sort of reaching out and then funneling back in. So there's a sense that every part of you is doing that. The legs are doing that to the ground. Something here, coming in here, into the Dan Chen, into the heart. Okay, and now let's just moving backwards and forwards. Again, just trying to keep the headlights straight. And again, what we want to try and feel is the leg that you're coming into, supplying a flow of energy into the opposite hand. So I sink into this leg, and this leg squeezes a flow up through me into the opposite hand. Yeah, and just feel what you need to do with your mind to make it happen. Something in you just has to get really optimistic and cheerful. So it's thymus, really. Something in you lifts to here, and then it sort of clears the pathway. So you become, the whole idea really is just to become master of our moods. So we're not victim to good moods as much as bad moods. We can just create whichever mood is required to actually make the most out of the situation. So I sink here. As soon as I start moving into the leg is having to supply a counter to that, otherwise I'll just fall down. So it's just physics, really. I mean, it's nothing special, but I'm just trying to get it to that critical edge where it stops being forces and starts being energy. So I'm going here, and then this, ooh, something comes up and into this hand. And then just changing the legs around. And again, just trying to So the front leg is pushing through me, and then the back leg is pushing through me. So it's beautiful, really, because we're really transforming energy, transforming just the physical pushing energy of the legs into this really delicate spirit energy that's rising up and coming and manifesting in the upper body. So we really are just changing the down into the up. It's a real transformation of energy. Ooh. So when John used to say, don't use energy, don't use force, use energy, yeah, that's what he meant. He just meant just allow this light energy to come up through you and just use that. Whoa. Yes, it's just full and empty. So this sort of energy will always manifest in the empty side, but it will only manifest if you have a full side. Okay, so let's bring it back. And now let's just try just twisting. So trying to keep the hips relatively still. Yeah, so for me, this exercise has really changed everything as well. So you really need the feeling that around your kidneys, you've got these two real wedges of muscle that's really strong and supportive. And there's a sense that when I use those muscles, it's drawing me in. So it's part of the yielding. It's part of this action. It's keeping me contained. Yes, if anything, it's best to do this when you're sitting down. But then you want to be able to just get it happening and then just allow your hips to go with it. So you can really get a long way around. You're sort of looking behind yourself. But you don't want the hips to do it. It comes from the lower back and the hips just follow in order to get more twist. Yeah, so a lot of padding around the kidneys. You just have to be careful. There's always tension, protective tension. But before we can institute that, we need to know how to relax. Okay. Yeah, so there's something about the twisting that just produces a mood of grim. Okay, so let's just try just stepping. So I go down into the foot because my toes have spread and clench the ground. Yeah. And then these toes open up and clench, and that draws me into the foot. Yeah, so John used to talk a lot about the eyebrows. And so as you're extending the toes, it's like the eyebrows lift. There's like a look of intensity in your face and your eyes. So here, and yeah, so when the dantian is tight and your min leg is pressed back and you're sunk, you're in a state of heightened intensity. You're more alive than normal, thank God. So, ooh. Ooh. So we just have to feel the intensity, feel the energy. And then you can just make it more playful. It doesn't have to be quite so intense. Way. Yeah, so there should be a sense that you almost packaged up, yeah, especially your torso. Your torso is just like an egg, like the fetus, yeah. The spine is just a smooth curve and the knee can just really pull into you. Yeah, so this is really important. You just do a little bit of this every day. Then there's a chance you'll wake up, which of course is why people don't do it. So you're really small and compact. And then when your energy comes out, you don't need to do this. You just send out missiles. So that's the feeling. You never really need to leave yielding state. Okay. You just feel the flow down, across the hips, and down these round legs. So it's like it's then these two lines are meeting under the ground somewhere. Your lower back is rounded out. Your tail is coming slightly under. Your head is coming slightly over. And your dantian is contained and collapsing into itself. It's always pulling in, the opposite of the middle-aged man who's got his gut spilling out all the time. I was watching the darts, like those guys, yeah, they're all fat from all the beer they drink and just, they look so uninteresting. One of the commentators was calling one of the darts players, oh, he's a great athlete. I thought, for fuck's sake, yeah. He's a fat twat. So he had a terrible injury. Okay, and now, so here, just, how straight can I get the legs without compromising the lower back too much? It's like when you're lying on the ground, you know, on your back, and you just bring the knees up, so they bring the feet towards your bum, then it allows your lower back to sort of flatten onto the ground. And then you can just sort of gently lower the knees to straighten the legs and just try and just keep this area relatively flat. So it's just flexibility in the hips, really, which is why sitting is so good, sitting cross-legged. Okay.